Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles need no introduction. They're a worldwide pop culture phenomena that's been around for 25 years now, and they continue to stay strong. However, as time went by, different continuities and incarnations of the Turtles started to exist. The most notable and well-known were the 1980s, early 90s cartoon series and the 2003 cartoon series. Both generated their own fan base and were very popular among their own generation of young fans. First of all, let me begin by saying that Ninja Turtles started off as a comic book, not a cartoon. I know all you hardcore fans of the old cartoon are most likely putting your hands on your ears going, la 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 la, I don't hear you, la 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 la, the comic book doesn't exist, la 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 la, it was always a cartoon to begin with, la 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 la. Well, deny it all you want, but this comic book came first. It was darker, more violent, and even sexually suggestive at times. The classic comics are not to be confused with the comic books published by Archie. These were more like the TV show, but took place in an entirely different continuity, even though it borrowed elements from the cartoon. Anyway, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman were the creators of the classic comic book, and they had little involvement in the cartoon that followed, despite designing some of the characters such as Bebop and Rocksteady. Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird have also been criticized for not liking the cartoon much, and some people refuse to acknowledge them as the creators of the Ninja Turtles at all. Instead, they give credit to Fred Wolf, the producer of the old cartoon series, to be the creator, but he wasn't. I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you guys, but without Eastman, Laird, and this gem of a comic, the 80s cartoon you love so dearly would have never existed, and neither would the Ninja Turtles in general. Deny it all you want, but it's the truth. It managed to gain a cult following that eventually allowed it to start merchandising. They approached Playmates for an action figure deal based on the characters, but the company was skeptical. I mean, can you blame them? They said they'd be willing to do it if they could strike a cartoon deal, and that's when the 80s cartoon you all know and love so dearly came to be. However, it was drastically changed from the comic book to be more kid-friendly. It was a huge hit, and as a result, tons of merchandise was made no matter how stupid it was. The kids just ate it up. Then later came a movie, which actually was much different from the cartoon, much darker in tone, and certain characters were changed around. Now why do you think that is? Simple, events of the movie were taken straight from the original comic books, with certain differences of course, the main one being that it was originally Leonardo who was attacked and injured by the Shredder, while in the movie it was Raphael. Soon, other movies came along, and the franchise continued for a few years until the cartoon got cancelled. A while later, a new show came up called Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation. Yeah, let's do ourselves a favor and stay as far away from that one as possible. And after that, another new cartoon was made, but this one, unlike the first, was heavily supervised by Peter Laird and heavily influenced by the comics. So as you could imagine, this one was much more faithful to the comic, darker, and overall a more modern take on Ninja Turtles. However, as a result, it was extremely different from the old cartoon, and a lot of people who grew up with the older cartoon really hated this series because it was nothing like the cartoon they remembered. Because the two shows are so different, there has been a major war between Turtles fans over which cartoon is superior. It seems anyone who grew up with the old cartoon hates and ridicules the newer one, and vice versa. As a fan of both cartoons, I ask you, can't we all just get along?
No way!
Does the phrase, "go suck a lemon," hold any meaning for you?
Yeah, I thought so. Anyway, I've decided to do my own Ninja Turtles battle. Which Turtles series is really the superior one? Well, I'm going to be giving my opinions based on what I've seen. I've literally watched every single Ninja Turtles episode from both shows, and before I go on, yes, I got my idea from the Nostalgia Critics' old versus new segments. But being that the made-for-TV movie, that is, by the way, a crossover of the old and new Turtles, is going to come out soon, I think now's the time to finally analyze and compare the two. This is classic TMNT versus the new TMNT. Round 1. The theme songs. First thing we should start with are the theme songs. Since that's how the cartoons start up, we might as well start off the same way. Okay, the 2003 cartoon series opens up with a recap or a monologue before the theme song, but anyway. The first theme song is an absolute classic among cartoon theme songs. It's memorable and catchy. The animation of the theme song was also pretty cool, and it's interesting to note that this animation was done by Toei Animation, but we'll get to that later. As the show continued on, the animation changed up to be a little more up-to-date with the show, since at this point Michelangelo's nunchucks had been removed for censorship reasons. The music stayed the same though. A third intro was made later on for the final 3 seasons to fit with the new darker tone of the show. The theme song itself had been changed as well. A lot of people didn't like the new theme song, but I think it was pretty okay. My only problem was that they didn't have any original animation for this intro. They just used clips from the show itself in the first movie. The new cartoon's theme song also has some pretty cool animation, but that's all I can give it. The theme song itself was okay, I guess, but it's not nearly as catchy or memorable as the first cartoon's theme song, except for which was later changed around to
We shredded Shredder!
As the series went on, then changed back to
Watch out for Shredder!
when Karai took up the identity as the Shredder. The theme song changed over time, adding new lyrics and new animation, until later on came Fast Forward and Back to the Sewers. The Back to the Sewers theme song was okay, considering that when Back to the Sewers was first announced, they had a popularity poll contest to vote on the theme song. Trust me, all the other theme song choices were pretty awful compared to this, but Fast Forward?
Still kicking butt and playing video games, driving everyone nuts, it's just really insane.
Yeesh! The theme song from The Next Mutation sounds better than this. If I had to choose, I would definitely go with the very first Ninja Turtles theme. It's simply a much more catchy theme and much more of a pleasure to listen to. And it even has a lot of great remixes. The first point goes to the classic series.
Heroes in a half shell, turtle power.
Round 2. The action. The main thing Ninja Turtles is known for, the action. You can't have Ninja Turtles without the ninja fighting action. The classic series had some pretty good action scenes. The first 5 episodes had the best fight scenes in the entire series. It's also interesting to note that the first 5 episodes qualify as anime since they were animated overseas in Japan by none other than Toei Animation, the same people who are known for the Dragon Ball series as well as other anime. Although they did a good job with the first 5 episodes, it doesn't make up for the horrors of the Ninja Turtles 2-part anime OVA, which thankfully Toei seemed to have no involvement with whatsoever. After the first 5 episodes, it was kinda rare to have a decent action sequence in the series. The rest of the action scenes, though entertaining, weren't really that good. All they mainly did was throw stuff at each other or use various objects for the sake of slapstick comedy. And they'd constantly make corny jokes while doing so. As I said, there were some good fight scenes here and there, but other than that, most of the action scenes were pretty lame. I understand many people thought these action scenes were impressive for their time, and that these comedic action scenes became something the old cartoon was known for, but I still feel like they could have done a lot better. But then years later came the 2003 series.
Turtles counted on 1, 2, 3, 4. Turtles.
Mutant chain reaction, living underground. Jitsu action, it's a shell of a town.
Turtles counted on.
Live by the code.
Oh yeah, now that's what I'm talking about. If you ask me, these fight scenes are just plain awesome. Do I even have to say anything? It's obvious the action scenes focus on the fighting, and the animation is just spectacular. Like the old series, it attempts to put a little humor into the fight scenes, but here, it works.
Wait a minute. A bow staff and a crowd of guys who all look the same? Time to try out one of my favorite movie stunts.
I guess a lot of people prefer the comical fight scenes from the classic series because they feel it's sort of a trademark for Ninja Turtles. The old show didn't take itself seriously, often breaking the fourth wall and reminding us that it's just a cartoon. As a result, I guess many people started thinking of the Turtles as a comedy cartoon. And when the new darker series came out, the older fans alienated it since it lacked the comical slapstick fighting from the old cartoon. And as a result, they believed that the Ninja Turtles should always be silly and comical. This is just another reason I feel they refuse to acknowledge Eastman and Laird's original vision of the Ninja Turtles. For some of the best fight scenes I've ever seen in a cartoon, I'd say the point goes to the 2003 series. Round 3. Comedy. Now, I know I already criticized the series for its corny jokes, but in all honesty, I would be lying if I said the show didn't make me laugh. There are moments in the series that still make me crack up till today, but it's not the Turtles themselves who do it, despite how lovable they are. The ones to make me laugh are Shredder, Krang, Bebop, and Rocksteady. The chemistry with Shredder and Krang is just great. They act like a bickering old married couple, with Bebop and Rocksteady being their retarded children.
I won't.
You will, you will, you will! Or I'll come looking for you in this thing!
You never let me have any fun! Rock steady, bebop, fall back! Huh?
It was a great formula that made the characters original and overall memorable. I will admit that once in a while there were other moments that made me laugh, but those four were pretty much the funniest characters on the show. As for the 2003 series, as I said earlier, they do tend to make jokes as well, but they're corny, and most of the time they're just pop culture references.
Mr. Sulu, ahead! Warp Doctor! Knock it off, Mikey!
I can't really say this show has made me laugh much, but I can see why. The writers of the classic series admitted that they were more used to writing comedy than action, so you could say that the old series focused more on comedy while the newer series focused more on action. So all in all, when it comes to making me chuckle, the classic series still manages to tickle my funny bone. Another point to the classic series.
Heroes in a half shell, turtle power.
Round 4, the video games. People have said another reason the old series was better was because it had some memorable classic video games, such as Ninja Turtles the arcade game and Ninja Turtles Turtles in Time. The games of the 2003 series were crappy and for the most part easily forgotten, though personally I enjoyed Ninja Turtles 3 Mutant Nightmare on the DS and the GameCube. Wait, what the hell am I talking about? The video game should have nothing to do with the cartoon. People are just searching for reasons to say why one show is better than the other, so they use video games as an example. Whether a video game sucks or not, it should not have any effect on the quality of the cartoon itself. Verdict? Irrelevant! Sorry, neither the classic series or the newer series gets a point this time. Well, this is the end of part 1 out of 4 of my Ninja Turtles battle. So far, the classic series seems to be in the lead. I hope you enjoyed it, and maybe learned something from this. I'll be back next week with part 2. Until then...